Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of Need I Say Myrrh, the Christmas podcast. And today I am delighted to be joined by Nick Butcher. Hello, Nick. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure. And maybe for those of you people who don't know who Nick Butcher is, would you like to say who you are, where you are, and what you do?
Yeah, I'm Nick. I live in West London near Richmond Park with my wife Lucy and our two guinea pigs, Monday and Pluto. Um,
Monday and Pluto.
Monday and Pluto, yeah. Well, we had Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday died, so
Okay.
now it's Monday and Pluto.
You didn't want to go with Wednesday and just keep going.
No,
No,
I think
okay.
you're on a that sets you on a very certain trajectory, and we felt, and Pluto was from a rescue. So
Okay.
Pluto already had a name.
Okay.
It wasn't the name wasn't Pluto, it was Roman, but we didn't like Rome anyway. So
Okay, yeah, that's not the main point. This is not a guinea pig podcast. Um,
there is lots of festive guinea pig stuff about at the moment. If you go to Asda or Sainsbury's.
anyway,
Yeah, so we live together in West London. I work for a thing called the London Project. We're an initiative from a thing called City to City, which came out of the ministry of Tim Keller, trying to help see the gospel really impact cities around the world. And in London, we say we do that by working to unite, strengthen, and multiply the church. So we work with leaders, basically through training and networking to get leaders into the same room who wouldn't necessarily be in the same room otherwise from across the kind of breadth of the evangelical church, and particularly at the moment working with kind of diaspora, first, second gen immigrant church leaders in the hopes that that will help strengthen the church and bless the city.
yeah. And how long have you lived in London now?
Very good question. 2.5 years in London, near London for another year.
Yeah, I imagine London must be quite a fun place to be at Christmas. We used to live in High Wycombe. We'd always go for an annual festive trip in for Christmas markets and stuff.
It is. I mean, it's been very cold, as the rest of the UK has been recently, and dark. And when there's no pretty countryside, that makes it harder. But the lights are pretty, and I get the bus home from work across Waterloo Bridge, and now it's dark earlier. It's just you look one way and there's Parliament all lit up, and you look the other way and there's the city all and St Paul's all lit up, and that's very nice.
But we're not here to talk about guinea pigs or London specifically. We're here to hear your thoughts on Christmas. So London and guinea pigs may both come up. We'll see. But we'll start with the first question I'm asking all of the guests on this podcast. What is your favourite Christmas decoration?
Me and my wife got married 2 summers ago, so we are just starting our like decoration collection. We have a very tiny tree that we planted in the garden and survived, so we need to figure out somehow how we're getting that back into the house. But I don't, all shops are really selling these days. It seems like either some not very pretty baubles and stars and stuff, or like little felt like characters with like a little scarf and a little hat. So that's what we've got mainly. And they're just really cute and fun and whimsical. So we've got a duck. My wife made a felt goose. Our purchase this year is a little row of felt robins with scarves and pointy hats on.
So a growing collection of birds.
They have a great collection of little animals.
Yeah.
Um,
And I look forward to chatting to you again on series 11 of this podcast and seeing how many animals you've got at that
they'll be
point.
worn down. There'll be a
Yes.
whole farmyard.
Do you do anything to decorate Monday and Pluto's environment?
Well, so last Christmas we asked. That was what one of the things we asked for Christmas. So they got my parents got them a whole box of treats. They got a little wooden Christmas tree, which has just stayed up all year. They're meant to nibble it, but they don't really. And then my brother-in-law got us like a little Christmas teepee with some like bunting on it. So that will probably re-emerge.
Excellent. That's good. Which brings us to the next question. What is your least favorite festive food?
Hmm, very good question. I think if we're talking strictly strictly Christmas dinner, I the thing I could go most without is like red cabbage.
Okay.
I feel like whether that's there or not, it doesn't really impact the dish, the standard
Okay.
Christmas dinner as a whole. I think it's something that's been forgotten many times and probably for good reason. if we're talking broader than just Christmas dinner, you know what? The other day I had a festive pork pie, Adam, and it was very disappointing. I,
Yes.
I
Okay.
any the need to make everything Christmas themed at Christmas
Uh-huh.
it just makes it worse
Yeah.
half the time. And that's true for pork pies.
Yeah. So what was in your festive pork pie?
I think it was just a pork and stuffing. Also, all they
Okay.
added was stuffing, and it still was just less good than a normal pork pie. I feel the same about like pork pies with like cheese or just adding anything. It's just the original is so good.
So no, normally, yeah, I think just get a normal pork pie. Like, because then if you want other things with it, like you can do that yourself, can't you? I do sometimes indulge in. So I've had some very nice pork pies with blue cheese as part of it. That's been nice. Or some kind of pickle can sometimes be good. But certainly the festive ones you get. When you get like cranberry on, like no, just or one I had one last year. One of those ones I think it was given to us by someone. So I'm reluctant to mention this because they're probably listening to this podcast. But it had some kind of like orangey sort of thing on top. Yeah, not good at all. So if they are listening, please don't get that for me again. Just get a normal pork pie, it'd be much better. Yeah, so I'm definitely with you, Nick, on the festive pork pies. Yeah, always disappointing. Of course, other people may have other views, and we do welcome correspondence on this podcast. So if you email needisaymyrrh@gmail.com, that's needisaymyrrh@gmail.com, or we'll share your thoughts in a new future episode. And so with the red cabbage thing, it's more that you just see it as pointless. Would that be fair?
Yeah, definitely. It's not that I don't like it. It's just like I don't know what it adds. There's more exciting things on the plate. I just don't know why it's there really.
But you would be particularly horrified by a pork pie with red cabbage.
Yeah, that would be well. I don't know. I haven't tried it, so I don't want to write it off the
Okay,
gate. But my prejudice would against that would be that it would be bad.
there we go. Let's move on. I should ask actually, Monday and Pluto, their views on red cabbage.
Yeah, they love it. So that's probably Christmas is quite good for them. Things like sprout stalks,
Yeah,
leafy things are good.
yeah.
Just lots of veg being chopped up in their vicinity. They live in our kitchen, so whenever they hear things getting prepared, they start weeking like mad. So they'll be eating well.
That's good. Glad they're being well provided for. Let's move on to Christmas Eve traditions. What does your Christmas Eve look like?
My side of the family don't have any Christmas Eve traditions, but my wife's side do, and it's developed into a staple. So Christmas Eve dinner, they have a side of soaked ham, and then there's like a cold spread of like salads and homemade sausage rolls and vegetarian sausage rolls and all sorts and prawn cocktail to start. So that's Christmas Eve tradition. But this year is the first year that none of my wife or her siblings are spending Christmas with her parents. So Christmas Eve is happening on the 28th.
Okay, that's not a normal date for Christmas Eve.
No, it's
Uh,
not. So it's yeah, so it's a main part of their traditions is the Christmas Eve. So, but we don't have any Christmas Eve on the butcher side, but we have Boxing Day traditions instead.
okay, well, you can go ahead with that. That's fine. Yeah.
My dad grew up with two single aunts, and they would both save their Christmas Day till Boxing Day. So my dad and his siblings would just have Christmas Day twice in a row. Um, and both of those aunts have now died, but it's developed into the tradition of doing Boxing Day presents. So
Okay.
it's like 15, 20 quid's worth of random stuff, surprises, often nowadays like a book or two. And my dad just writes silly names on the labels, inventing new characters for the Parthenon of Boxing Day. And like the Father Boxing Day, the Boxing Day Fairy, and the Boxing Day Snowman. New characters. I feel like parents often they like set a tradition and then they like get weighed down by the own tradition they've developed. So his enthusiasm for writing creative new characters every year, I think, is dwindling. But it's part of the tradition he's given to us, so he has to do it now. Otherwise, we'll be sad.
And he's welcome to get in touch to offer his his side of events as well. So and maybe listeners have suggestions of other characters to add.
Yeah, let my dad know. Let me know. Who should he write on my labels to say my Boxing Day
Mhm.
presents are from?
Yeah. One thing that followers of your dad on Twitter will want to know is what part does Viennetta play in your Christmases?
You know what? Violetta plays no part in our Christmases. For those of you who don't know, which is probably all of you, my granddad used to work for Wolves Ice Cream and was part of the team that developed the process for the making of Viennetta ice cream. You can find his name on the patent and on the Wikipedia page, partly because I put it there. Um, I feel my dad grew up with so much ice cream. I feel like it wasn't special. He had two
Okay.
freezers. He had a freezer, a normal freezer, then he had a freezer that's full of test and reject Wolves ice cream products. So it probably just wasn't that special to have ice
Okay.
cream. Maybe we should start as remembering the legacy of my granddad.
Yes, we did buy Viennetta last week in honor of him, even though I didn't know him. Just now, whenever I see Viennetta, I always think of your family. So that's quite exciting.
I do enjoy it. It blows up on Twitter like once a year. And there's just the my granddad made Viennetta discourse happens, and that's becoming a new yearly tradition.
Yes.
It's not quite Christmas levels yet, but it's happening.
And now, as a result of this podcast, for all 30 of the listeners, we'll be really excited to share that fact with people. Let's come to the last question. What is your favorite Christmas carol?
I think my favourite is "Oh Come All Ye Faithful" because it's just a banger.
It is, yes.
I the tune is so good and is so beltable, which I think is my favorite quality in most church music. And it's just so theologically rich, the truths that I want to be reminded myself at Christmas. I think particularly that second verse that Jesus is God of God and light of light, but he didn't abhor the Virgin's womb. He was willing to descend to become like us and
Mhm.
to take the lowliest of places to save us. So I just love seeing that, and I think the chorus is so good as a response to those truths. What are we to do with a God like this, with a Savior like this? We're to adore Him. I feel like that's not a phrase we talk about outside of the song.
Apart from the song "Behold Our God,"
Yeah,
those are the only two times we talk about that. But it is a great response, isn't it? And that line, "Lower your balls, not the Virgin's womb," like a line that growing up, I had no idea what that actually meant. It's like an odd line, but then when you understand what that actually means, that's wonderful, isn't it? I like that should lead to such adoration of this God.
there's a newer Sovereign Grace song which has the lyric I love, similar idea of who could believe or ever have dreamed that we could hold God in our hands, and it's that same idea, just the wonder of God becoming man. But Come We Faithfuls has better tune.
Well, there we go. Yeah, no, it is. It's stood the test of time, hasn't it? And it is very belt. I like the word beltable, and that's good. And it is with having two young children, and that's one of the highlights of any carol service for them is getting to sing very loudly on the verge of shouting. So that's always a good part of the service. So yeah, we definitely will be singing Come On You Faithful" a lot this Christmas. So that's good. Well, thank you, Nick. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope that you and your wife, whose name I've forgotten, and Monday and Pluto all have a very happy Christmas.
Thank you, Adam. Hope you and all of yours have a happy Christmas too.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.